There's this thought that I had that I wanted to share today, and that is the thought on the limitations that have been placed onto myself. Because as I started to get into this journey of producing content, or actually going through any kind of creative process for myself, or going onto into any project that I want to explore, there's this habit where firstly I will do the research of what has went well and what are the kind of areas to look at so that I can be successful in the operational side of things and how I should proceed with doing certain things and planning out my roadmap, how I should act on different processes. And it got me thinking that yes, it's great to be able to have all these references and research material for me to go on so that I can be kind of duplicating what works and what has worked before by other people. But I also understand that there also needs to be like an aspect where I shouldn't really hold myself back on what I really want to add on to different areas. For example, if I were to do content creation and work towards optimizing my YouTube content a certain way so that the algorithm can work well in my favor, then it's something that I have to limit myself on in certain areas like creativity and being artistic the way I want the pieces of video to be. And it got me thinking about if I were to do that, then I won't necessarily be fully exploring all the areas, all the emotions, all the feelings that I have of wanting to create something of my own, fully encompassing what I really want to create. I think that's also going to be missing out on certain areas that allow me to express who I am. And I think with the habit of these limitations that I put on myself, it's kind of like tuning myself and forming those beliefs that I should do these things. And I think after doing this for the long run, it will eventually shape my future in terms of being okay with it. But I don't want to be okay with it because then I'm letting what I create be driven by all these platforms that I'll be uploading up to and distributing all my work to, or even just like creating for the sake of getting the numbers and the metrics that I want. And I noticed that if I were to do this for the long term, then it's not also going to be something I would be really happy about and really excited about, because then it's just more of like, okay, I have to do it this way, I have to do it that way so that I can please everyone, or get my content optimized for that particular platform. But if I just open up myself to just lift up all these limitations for myself, or even just find a balance of like being happy with what I create and just like fine tuning the bits that I feel can work and optimize, then I think that would allow me to approach what I'm doing in a more happier spot and more fulfilling spot, because then I can get the chance to fully express who I am. Because more often than not, your mind often sabotages your ability to perform by placing all these different limitations on you, or all these criterias that you have formed for yourself so that you can start to achieve success. But how you define success is also on your own terms. Like for me, like how I would define success would be if I were to work on my projects, I want to make sure that I feel fulfilled and feel happy with the value provided through my creations and my producing of the content, and do it in a way such that it shows who I am and showcases who I am, not something that is too far off from what I want to showcase. And additionally, when there is also that race of wanting to play catch up all the time with other people who are successful, then there's also this thinking where, do I even have the ability to catch up? And if I don't, then I would have to follow what they do so that I can play catch up. But actually, it's your own uniqueness which is allowing you to drive yourself forward to be more sustainable into the works that you do, because you are happy producing it. And even if you're in the mindset of wanting to chase that success all the time, but have difficulty in doing so, there's also like different areas that we can tweak in our life, such as if we continue to feel that we are holding ourselves back, then the questions we have to ask ourselves is whether we have to change our environment. Is our environment conducive enough for our growth? Do we have to change friend groups, or do we have to distance ourselves from certain friend groups that are causing ourselves to have a toxic relationship, and make new friend groups so that I can find something that is more supportive for me to open up more doors for opportunity of growth? And can I shift or have different cognitive shifts for myself where I can compartmentalize different areas of my life? For example, like if I were to have leisure time, if I were to have work time, can I space those out properly so that whenever I'm put in those environments, I can work more efficiently and with a better mindset and approach? It's like when I create content, I always thought that I have to be very serious. And yeah, sure, being serious for some topics would be great. But I was thinking, like, even if I want to showcase a more light-hearted version of myself, why should I limit myself from not doing that? Because then I'm just being myself and I just really want to be myself. Because then the way I share is also more natural. And I find everybody's personality is different. You may not resonate with my content, you may resonate with another person's content of how they present and how their personality is. And at the end of the day, the way I want to share is at least to be as authentic as possible. And hence why I'm also doing these daily kind of sharings, because the more I do it, I realize that it's giving me the ability to share more authentically and just be myself, giving me this space to practice and practice and practice so that eventually, as I look back day by day or even week by week, I can start to see what are the things that I need to work on. It gives me that constant reflection of how I can be better. And I wouldn't be able to reflect on myself if I'm not being who I am. Then it would have been pointless for me to do these daily sharings if I'm not who I am. Because at the end of the day, I also want to do these daily sharings because then I can have a form of growth by doing these videos. It's a two-way street. So I hope this particular sharing today can prompt some insights for yourself to think about if you're working on a particular project and you're holding yourself back with some limitations. Consider seeing if you can strike a balance of how you can showcase more of you in your work and not hold yourself back to the best practices all the time. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this piece of content, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.